All right, hey everybody, TexAgs Rewind. Nick Savage, what was your favorite part of the show today?
I'm gonna go ahead and say all the talk about earrings. That was just super interesting and insightful.
Yeah, this is a Texas A&M football show for the most part. We do basketball, we do baseball, we do track field, we do soccer. But I mean, it's an athletic show. And your favorite part of the show was me talking about when I had an earring.
Talking to the earring expert David Nuno.
I had an earring in 1994, 95. That's it. I think that's it. And it was cool in A-Leaf. I grew up in A-Leaf. If you grew up in A-Leaf, you would have thought it was cool too. And if you were a product of the 90s and you liked rap music like I did, you probably had an earring. All right? That's the story. Yet everybody who's not cool is coming at me. Earrings were never cool. Look in the mirror, bro. On the show, this is what we did. What did we do? We did SEC Power Rankings. Did you like OB's Power Rankings there, Nick?
I did. I was kind of surprised he had A&M where they were, to be honest. I was expecting OB to have them a little lower, but he had them a little higher than I thought.
Well, I like where he had him. John Harris. We talked a little bit about the Texans because I asked him about Bill O'Brien. John Harris knows him very well. Not only did he work with him, he played with him in college. They played together at Brown. And I asked him if he's a good coach, and his answer was really good. But then we got into just A&M stuff. That was great, the scouting report. The voice of the Aggies, Andrew Monaco. He was on the show, and we broke things down. What I really like about talking to Andrew is that when I see a negative, he can kind of point me where it could be positive. He was very good about that. In the recruiting country, where the earring talk started with Ryan Brauninger, but we did talk a lot of recruiting with him. We went extra time with Bronny. That and more, it's TexAgs Rewind.
I'm going to be interested to see how much you agree with me on this. But number one, I'm going to go with Georgia. I guess I'm stubborn. I still think that defense is going to set them apart. They play Tennessee in 2 weeks at home. As we know, it's very important to be at home in those big games in the SEC. But number two on my list, I have Tennessee. Why not? They beat Alabama. I've got Alabama number three, followed by number four is Ole Miss. I'm not sure if I believe it, but the fact is they're one of the few unbeaten teams in the country. I think they're going to have to prove a lot this week against the number five team on my list, LSU, and they have to do it at Death Valley. So, we talked about how it's hard to win on the road. So maybe that's going to be a game where Ole Miss is proven to be contenders or pretenders. Number six, I put Kentucky, dropping off ahead of Mississippi State after that win last week. And number eight, I have Texas A&M, followed by number 9, Arkansas, number 10, Florida, number 11, Auburn, number 12, South Carolina. Yes, I put Auburn ahead of South Carolina based on the fact that they went out and played a pretty strong game against Ole Miss last week. 13, Missouri, and 14, Vanderbilt. Do you find anything odd or blatantly wrong about that in your opinion?
No. I want to ask you about Connor Wegman. I don't know if you got to see much of him in high school. I don't know if I'm sure at some point you've probably seen some highlights. We don't know what his future is going to be this season. I expect him to play at some point. Maybe it's this weekend. Maybe it's in the next few weeks. When you see information, clips on Connor, what gets you giddy about him?
Well, it's interesting because I can't remember who I was talking to. Oh, it's one of my coaching buddies. I should say coaching buddy. It's actually one of my friends I've known for a long time who is in coaching. And they were playing, I think, Bridgeland is the high school, right? Is
yep,
that where he
Bridgeland,
went?
yep.
Okay. They were playing Bridgeland in the playoffs. And I texted him at every playoff win. I was like, okay, who do you have next? He's like, Bridgeland. I was like, oh, man. He goes, yeah, but he's banged up. And I said, are you going to play against him? And he goes, no, thankfully. I was like, that's all I needed to know. Really. I mean, the thing really, I think for a freshman, and I think of a guy like Shea Patterson, and not that they're the same type of quarterback, but I remember when Shea Patterson was a true freshman for Ole Miss, and he went to College Station, and we're watching, and we're like, yo, that's Johnny. That is Johnny reincarnate right there. And then along the way, it was like too many people started kind of pulling at Shea Patterson to do different things and overcoaching him and not allowing him to just be what he is and who he is. And I worry about that with Connor, just in the standpoint of how Jimbo has handled the quarterbacks that he's had just recently. Kellen Mond really had to go through years of getting to a comfortable point with Jimbo and this offense. And I feel like there are times where coaches are like, no, this is what we do, you adapt, as opposed to this is what you do, I'll adapt. And I think, and for as good a coach as Jimbo is, and I've always liked Jimbo, no matter what, his teams seem to play for him. They play hard. There's a nastiness about his teams offensively. They've been very, very potent. His FSU team, I mean, was loaded with talent, but they got it. They were on it. I've talked to Terrence Brooks, who used to be with the Texans, about that 2013 team. And he's like, man, with Jimbo running us, we were wolf. But Jimbo has a different way with quarterbacks. And so with young guys, I think there's got to be this sort of give take. And that is, you got a young quarterback that does some different things. You got to adapt. Now, I stayed in coaching for a short time. But if there was one thing that I did well, it was to look at what my quarterback did and adapt. In my final year of coaching, I had a sophomore kid, and he was young. And I used to have a play card that was jam-packed with stuff. And I knew I could do some different things with him, but I had to make sure he was comfortable with it. And so early on in the year, I got stubborn thinking these are things I wanted to do. And finally, after week 2, he had played okay, but I was like, man, I think there's more there. And I sat him down and I said, look, let's go through what's working, what isn't. And let's see how we can change this thing for you. And he said, oh, cool, coach. Okay, well, I like doing this. And one of the things he told me is he liked running the option.
Look, we knew that these freshmen were going to be very good players. I think the level that they're playing at it has exceeded what I thought from year one.
Mm-hmm.
Here I go as next year Nuno again. But next year, this experience that all these guys are getting, how that's going to play a huge role in that team, considering everybody comes back.
No, and I think it still has an effect on this year too. I don't think it's just looking towards next year. Anytime you build that roster, you're building for the entire experience here at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I was going to say 4 years. Apparently now it's 3 and done for a lot of these guys. They want to play their 3 years and go on to the league. And I get it. But it's similar to what Jim Schlossnagle likes to do for baseball. You've got the Friday night starter, your Saturday, right? And then the Sunday is a guy who could be a Friday down the line, but he's going to help me right now. And your Tuesday pitcher could end up being a weekend pitcher, right? You're looking at that. And that's how you recruit and get to that position. But I don't think it's just, well, let's close the book on this season. I think these last 6 games play right into what you're saying. How much better can they be next year? Because now the team that didn't have the experience is now gaining all of that experience and all that experience. Then it's going to be teams, to your point, next year going, well, now we're going to play A&M and look at all the experience they have. That's what we've said about all these other teams.
Yeah, for him. Austin Novosad at that same game, right?
Yeah, and I love covering Austin. He's such a great kid, and what a great family. Dad originally from Caldwell, mom's originally from Crockett, and they got ties to College Station and A&M in this area. Just a lot of fun to talk to them, and Austin's such a great kid. And really, he kept Dripping Springs in that game for a long time. It was kind of the battle of the defenses. And then as Westlake started to pull away late, and Austin had to take some chances with the ball, ended up turning it over a couple of times there late. But, I mean, they were kind of in desperation mode any way they could try to get the ball down the field against Westlake's. The Westlake defense is incredibly good. And I had a college coach that was there. So there was Ohio State was there, A&M was there, Baylor was there. I'm trying to think. There was a couple of D2s that were there, and maybe a SWAC school. But there was a lot of schools there watching. And I talked to a coach that was on the sideline that said, for a high school defense, what Austin Westlake does is extremely advanced. And he even went as far as to say, he's like, the head coach at Austin Westlake, Tony Salazar, who made his name for being Todd Dodge's defensive coordinator, and then he got promoted to the head job. The college coach that I spoke with said that guy could be a college defensive coordinator right now because of the stuff that he's running and the efficiency which the kids run it at. So obviously they've got great players there, but they're also in a scheme defensively. Like scoring on Austin Westlake is extremely difficult. And as an offense that's as good as Dripping Springs has ever had in their school's history was only able to muster 10 points. So, but A&M still recruiting Austin Novosad extremely hard. Obviously committed to Baylor. A&M's got to find a quarterback in this class. And so they told Austin, we're not going to go away. We know you told us no, and but we're not going to go anywhere because you're our guy, and we're going to make sure that you understand that you're a priority for us. And
They went away on Eli, though, right? They haven't really.
no, Eli Holstein has not had any communication with A&M. They moved on that front. But Austin, still talking to A&M, still talking to Damian Craig and Jimbo Fisher. But, you know, I think A&M, it's no secret, they got to show some kind of relevancy on offense going forward to not only for quarterbacks, but all the skill positions. Because, and we spoke about it last week, you had 2 running backs that were key targets of yours go completely off the board.
Yeah.
You're still in on Ruben Owens, but, you know,
He's committed.
he's committed to Louisville. What happens if that doesn't change? And so where you go at running back, and there's questions at receiver, and you guys got guys like Anthony Evans committed to Oklahoma, Micah Tease committed to Arkansas, Hakeem Williams committed to Florida State, Andy Jean committed to Florida. Like, all your top targets have seemingly gone elsewhere. Zach Branch committed to USC, never came off of that. So, you know, you're going to have to – the proof's going to have to be in the pudding now, not in the message on the recruiting front offensively with skill positions.
So this is kind of a weird question, but how much can they talk about, and they probably can't, I don't know, maybe they can, what next year could look like?
I don't think you do that.
Because the guys that are doing the messaging may
Well, no,
are not a part of
you
that,
have
right?
to you can sell that in terms of you can sell next year in terms of what you got on campus.
All right. I guess you know what to do at this point. I got nothing clever to say. Nick, you have anything clever to say to end the show?
I don't know.
I
Just
need-
gotta, yeah,
Just gotta what?
like, subscribe, comment,
Yeah, you did it in a different order. I'm used to like,
subscribe,
comment,
lament.
You did like,
lament.
subscribe,
What's
comment.
lament? I don't know. Lament? I can
Lament.
lament the fact that you're not subscribed to TexAgs YouTube channel yet.
Here's a question. If you have not subscribed yet, but you like it shows up on your algorithm, like, yeah, I like it, but I haven't subscribed. Just tell me why. Why haven't you subscribed? That's it.